Welcome to a very, very special episode of On VJ's Playlist because today we have the sensational Tanmaya Bhatnagar joining us all the way from Norway. Hey Star, how are you?
Hi, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm good, and I'm very far away from home, but um, since I recently did get married to someone who's half Norwegian, I guess this is also partly home for me now.
Well, firstly, congratulations in order on the new beginning in your life. It's a brand new chapter, and you're clearly glowing, so it just makes it all the more special. But
Thank you.
Tanmaya, what a phenomenal journey has it been? It's just been 2 years since you broke into the scene, but your very, very first release, caught the attention of one of the biggest music geniuses in the business, and I'm talking about Mr. A.R. Rahman. I mean, in April 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, you released your very first single, Kya Tum Naraz Ho. Um, and Mr. Rahman, just 3 months later, tweets about it saying that this is the lori that you all need to listen to. So, firstly, to begin with, on such a momentous, moment, how did that feel, Tanmaya? Because as kids, or as a generation, for us, when it comes to Mr. Rahman, he is God. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just second to God. So when
Mhm.
that kind of validation comes your way with the very first release, how did it feel?
Oh, I think I didn't believe it at first because um, just the fact that he shared my song at the time that he did, apparently he posted that at 3 a.m. or something. That was itself so surprising for me, and it definitely also helped the song. So many more people got to hear it, and it was introduced to like a much more bigger audience that I could have expected it to. And I think I honestly couldn't believe it. And I think when I told my friends and family about it, I said, okay, I think this is the highlight of my life that this has happened, because it's so incredible to be able to get that kind of validation. Um, and I think as an independent artist, it gets tricky to be able to reach a larger audience. So I think that really did help that little song a lot. Just that small little mention. It was great.
I mean, small little mention, but such a momentous mention for a
Yeah.
song, Tanmaya, which not a people really know. It stemmed from a very, very, unsettling place. It came from a place
Yeah.
where you were addressing something that has affected you so deeply. Well, it speaks
Mhm.
about emotional abuse. It speaks about one's reliance on a partner who has been constantly, putting you down, who has been constantly making you second guess your emotions. So if I may ask, when you were writing Kya Tum Naraz Ho, how cathartic did it feel to even put yourself out over there?
I think when I did write the song, I never wanted to release it because I think I just wanted to release it from within me, but I had no plans to release it, for other people to listen to it, because it was such a personal and is such a personal song for me. Um, I don't really know how I was able to do that, but I know that I was extremely hurt when I wrote that song. And when I was able to write my feelings on a piece of paper and was able to come up with that melody, I think it did partly did heal me. And I know that writing that song just in the last 2 years, just the meaning of that song has kind of evolved. Um, at one point I would feel really hurt singing it or feeling it when I was singing the song, and now it kind of feels liberating that I was able to create that with those emotions. So I think in general for me, music is very therapeutic. So when I did put the song out, I was really afraid and scared, um, because I was putting such a big piece of my heart out there. But the fact that so many people could resonate with it and could feel something with it, it just like made everything larger than life for me, and it was more therapeutic to know that.
I'm sure, Tanmaya, with the release of the song and with the eventual validation that it did receive, you, of course, you must have received your sense of closure, and I'm sure you've swiftly moved on from there, and things have only gotten better for you, which is extremely amazing. For our viewers who are watching, who may not, be particularly acquainted with who Tanmaya is, she is a singer-songwriter. She also juggles multiple hats. She plays several music instruments, including the guitar and the ukulele. She's also a communications designer and a model and a graphics designer and a composer. Whew, really, Tanmaya, how do you manage to juggle so many tricks up your sleeve?
Uh, it's a very tough question, but I think it's just how it has been for me. This is just something I've been doing for the last couple of years, and um, I'm a firm believer in not sticking to one thing. And I have never done anything like in a straight line. I've always stepped out of that line and thought about things a little bit differently. And um, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be someone who's going to just do one thing. Even if I do 5 different things and I'm not, it's okay with me. If I enjoy doing one of them, then I'll just stick to it. But it does get challenging. But I think a lot of musicians would relate to me that you do need to have some sort of side hustle or some sort of hustle that you're doing on the side to that kind of brings in the money and you can
Yeah.
pay your rent. So yeah, I think it's sometimes I do all of these things out of necessity as well, but I'm just lucky that I do these things because I also enjoy doing them.
Let's delve a little bit into your childhood, Tanmaya, because you're an army kid, and much of your upbringing was because you moved, various cities from Chennai, Gangtok. For a brief period, you were also in Rajasthan, till you eventually made Delhi your home.
Yeah.
So, while you were traveling as a little kid, how did music fall into the scheme of things?
Um, I mean, I think it's followed me everywhere somehow. Particularly because of my mother. She was also a musician, and I mean, not someone who released any music, but she was a music teacher in schools, and she was a singer, and she used to write a lot of poetry. So I've kind of grown up around watching my mother with the guitar. Like that's how I remember her. Um, and I think she was the reason that I was introduced to a lot of music. And I think I always say that I just wanted to be like her and I wanted to play the guitar like her. And I just thought that she was so wonderful and talented that she was able to, write these songs from scratch. And um, over the years, I think um, she tried to teach me how to play the guitar. I remember when I was a kid, but I didn't really take that up very seriously because I was tiny and I thought, okay, I'll just do it whenever I can. But I did learn how to play the harmonium in school and a little bit of, the keyboard. I had a very small little keyboard at home that I used to play. And I used to sing in school sometimes, the national anthem and stuff like that. But only over the years, that desire to want to make music kind of grew stronger because I used to write a lot of poems and they were very childish poems, but I still wanted to like do something with it. Um, and and then I think my mom got really sick while I was growing up, and she kind of lost the ability to do all of these things. And I wanted to take that forward, and I wanted to kind of connect with her again through music, and that's what gave me the push to pick up the guitar or pick up the ukulele and teach myself how to play it so that I could start writing how I feel about all of these things. So I think that was definitely the fuel to the fire for me when it comes to just writing songs and playing music. But it's it's been there forever. I think I don't remember a time when music was not important in my life. But I think I would connect it all back to my mother, 100%.
That's extremely heartwarming to hear, Tanmaya. Do you remember the artists that you and your mother sat together and listened to, and they became huge inspirations in the way you picked to the craft?
Um, I know for a fact that my mother used to listen to a lot of Queen and ABBA. We had those CDs and cassettes at home, and she used to sing those songs a lot. And even to this day, whenever I listen to I Have a Dream, I just remember my mom. From This is the song by ABBA. And when I did watch this movie called Mamma Mia, have you watched that
Yeah,
movie?
yeah.
And they did this whole tribute to ABBA. I couldn't stop thinking about my mother because it was like those were the songs that I've grown up listening to. Um, yeah, I think those are like my core memories when it comes to music and mom.
You started the I Hear You project, because for our viewers who are watching who aren't aware, I Hear You project is an initiative that you've begun. Um,
Yeah.
where you connect, you in a way, I think it began with you putting out a video of yourself on YouTube where you shared your story about your mother, and many people across the world connected, and together you started this community on Discord. Do you want to tell our viewers more about it?
Yeah, so the I Hear You project is something which I've always wanted to kind of build on. It started with the search for a support group or support system for people who have family members or friends suffering from schizophrenia. And since my mom has been, sick with that illness for a really long time, I was always on the lookout for such groups or such support systems where I could talk to people. And I think it took a lot of courage for me to be able to talk about these things because it's not easy, especially in
Absolutely.
our country. Um, but I was able to connect with a lot of people with the same um, background, from different age groups, from different parts of the world. And I was successful, in kind of also being a support for someone. But I think, it becomes really heavy taking that kind of responsibility, because then people start looking for answers and start looking for support from you. And as someone who's already needs support, it's to like be there for other people as well. So I have kind of taken a break from that responsibility for some time.
Yeah.
Um, but it still exists, and I think at some point I would really like to make something more
Yeah.
tangible from this idea, because I know that people are looking for this kind of support. um, and I would definitely want to take it forward and do something about it. And I did make a film about it as well,
Yeah.
in hopes for more people to just to be able to talk about it in a way that people can understand. So I wanted to mix art and music and the story, and I stitched it all together to tell the story about my mom and how schizophrenia has affected our family,
Yeah.
and her. um, and I hope that that kind of does raise more and more awareness in whoever comes across the video. But I think for now I'll keep it to that. And um, this whole idea of a big support group and support system, I think definitely it'll keep growing with time. But for now, I think it's pretty inactive, the group in itself.
Uh, I can tell, Tanmaya, but like when you are working on these extremely emotional, I won't even say, I mean, emotional is too little and frankly frivolous a word. when you're working on these extremely inner, on these compositions and songs that really, really make you want, it kind of pierces your heart and really removes out so many unsaid emotions and, unexpressed feelings. Um,
Hmm.
how do you reach that place where you write these songs in the first place? You bring yourself to, just piece these emotions and all together, and then eventually, put it out there for the world to hear and listen to.
Um, I think like to reach that state of mind, I think I'm perpetually always there somehow. In the sense that it doesn't take me and like anything. I don't have to force myself to get to that point. But yes, when I am sitting down and I want to write something, then I do have to be with my thoughts for a while. I do have to be with that pain or the insight of feeling that for a while to be able to, piece it all together. Um, and it is a very challenging thing, but I know that at the end of the day, when I do write down how I process it better, and I'll be able to create something like really beautiful with how I'm feeling. So I think the whole process is quite enriching for me at the end of the day, and that's why I continue to do it, no matter who's going to listen to it, no matter how many people will listen to it. But I still feel that it's important that I do tell the story for myself. So yeah.
Just like the I Hear You project, in the midst of the pandemic, also you did initiate a couple of concerts with independent singer songwriters in Delhi city. It was called I think
Friday fundraisers.
Friday fundraisers, yes. And I believe you were doing this in collaboration with Sangeeta Bhattacharya, with Tejas Menon, with Shubham, with Osho Jain, and the objective behind these concerts were to raise funds and help aiding in COVID relief and COVID-19 relief.
Yeah.
So are these projects or this collective social responsibility on your part means to express the pain that you feel within?
Okay. Now that you asked me that question, it gives me some time to think about, why I do initiate such projects, or but I think I can honestly connect it all back to my mother. She keeps coming up in this conversation, but I think the older I get, the more I realize I possess so many of her personality traits.
Yeah.
And my mother was also naturally such a human being. Like, she always helped people all the time. Even if she didn't have anything, she would go out of her way to help people who didn't have much, or in some way or the other, her friends, family. Um, and I think that I do have that desire in me as well. Um, and I do lose sleep when there's something wrong going on in the world in general, or with a close friend of mine. I tend to take that up, and it kind of goes under my skin,
Yeah.
and I feel the need to do something about it. I feel like I want to change, or to better something, or to reach out and try to help someone. And I know that like people are not always looking for that, but um, just the fact that I did make this film about my mother and about schizophrenia, that I put out that video, I know that there were people who did feel like they were not alone. And that is always something which is irking me, that, I'm supposed to do something about it, that I should do something about it. Um, so I try within my capacity, because sometimes I'm also not emotionally all well to be able to say, come, let me help you.
No,
um,
but it's interesting you say that, Tanmaya, because I feel that because you want to reach out, to people, and you want to be there, in the hope that it will help you express yourself, and put out things that you often hold back within yourself. And that's largely because somewhere I feel that process also helps in building up your songwriting. I
Yeah,
think that that serves much as an inspiration to you when it comes to your artistry.
yeah.
Do you think that's correct?
When I did initiate this Friday fundraisers concept, um, I wouldn't say it was highly successful. I was perhaps able to do like maybe 2 out of 6 things that I had
Yeah.
planned to do. Um, but I still think those 2 things were enough for me to be able to say, okay, I tried, and we were able to collect like some amount of money to donate to the cause that we wanted to. So that was enough.
Let's speak about your very, very well-received EP in 2021. Wherever I go, I'd like to be all I need, because I think when from Kya Tum Naraz Ho, when you reach this EP, clearly this is Tanmaya Bhatnagar coming all into her own.
Mhm.
There is a sense of newfound freedom. There is a sense of newfound individuality, and that's what reflects in the in the 4-track EP that you released. So do you want to give us
Thank
an
you.
account into the journey of that EP?
Yes. I like that you said it was uh, well received. um, but no, it was this EP was always something that I wanted to work on, and without any expectations, honestly. Um, I think there's some time left warning coming on. Do you want to like?
No, there's 10 minutes.
Uh, okay. Um, what was I saying? Yes, so this EP was something I've always wanted to work on, like, without having any expectations. I feel like ever since Kya Tum Naraz Ho, I've been trying to compete with myself. Um, but it was a lot of fun making this EP because I spent so much time with music, and that was the whole point for me. Um, I definitely think that I would have done some things differently. Um, but those are just the challenges. Those are just things that you have to deal with. Once you put out a project, you kind of go through a phase where you introspect everything, and you think about what you could have done, or what more you could have done, or what you could have done less. um, but I think all in all of those songs are extremely special to me, and they'll always be. And I might work on them a little bit more. I might work on them when my album comes out. Maybe there'll be a different version of those songs. But I think all in all, it was a very fulfilling process for me. Yeah.
I mean, from your EP, if we move on to the two releases that you've had this year with Kyun Hota Hai and with Sapne, your you know beautiful work in Hindi, and clearly it's also like I said, if the EP was a sense of newfound freedom and newfound individuality, clearly with the songs that you have released in 2022. Um, is almost a testament of how much are you in a happier space, how much of the baggage has been shed, how much of there's so much more confidence now. It's like you are willing to embrace a side of yourself that forget about the rest of us. I'm sure it's not even something that even you were aware of its existence. Especially with Kyun Hota Hai, with the music video that came out with it. You're actually looking like a mermaid, firstly, in that outfit, and it's you're looking so stunning. So clearly, these releases
Thank
have
you.
stemmed from a much better mind space. So do you want to let us know as to how did you work upon these two songs?
Um, yes, thank you for all the compliments, by the way. Um,
My pleasure.
um, Yeah, I do think that these songs feel like a new chapter in itself for me. But yeah, you're right that now that you said it, they do they do stem from a better state of mind, and I think it's obvious in the way I've written these songs and also the way they've been produced. It's quite different. Um, Sapne was again something that I wrote long time back, because they do talk about just dreams in general. And I think
Yeah.
when I was beginning to think of the idea of wanting to release music, I think that's when I did write that song. And I try to stick very much to how I have been releasing my music with the song. And I think it was pretty nice. I dedicated the song to my dad because the song kind of came out um, from having this conversation with him about my dreams. And that's how it was inspired. So I dedicated the whole story to him, and the whole music video was, about our relationship, which was nice. Um, and with Kyun Hota Hai, it was, I think I wanted to really experiment with my sound, experiment with the kind of music I can write, because
Yeah.
I think I'm in that space right now where I can try different things before I can really say, okay, this is where I want to be as an artist, as a musician. This is how I want to sound. Um, but I'm pretty happy with these explorations, and it really does feel, like a gradual kind of um, shift for me. Um, I do want to stick to what I'm really good at, which is just writing sad songs. Because like I said, I think I'm perpetually always in that space. I do really love the company of melancholy. So I'll always stay with that. And I think with the next couple of songs that I'm working on, you'll see that again. Um, yeah.
It's amazing how you say, Tanmaya, that melancholy is a place, it's an emotion that you have embraced because somewhere there's always a negative connotation to that term. There's always,
Yeah.
I mean, people really kind of isolate that space, and especially when you are making such songs for a space, for a country like ours, where people are very superficial. People really don't invest that kind of time and energy to really stem into that kind of space. It's amazing to see how you are constantly delving into that space and creating something that allows you to express yourself, but also strikes a chord with your listeners. All I would say is that it's been an amazing journey watching you rise from strength to strength, and you have my best wishes always, and can't wait for all the amazing music that you have in store for us.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet. And I'm really, really appreciative of the support. And thank you so much for also opening up a space for artists and musicians to be able to talk about their work and their story and their life. And I'm very grateful that you took out the time for me and um, read up about me and asked me all of these beautiful questions.
My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine, Samaya. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for actually opening up and sharing so much of this because usually artists, very rightfully so, they refrain from indulging into personal details. But yes, I'm very appreciative as much of you agreeing to open up and speak about yourself and let people know you better as a person also, besides being the accomplished artist that you already are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.